right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Stormy pattern developing and a weather impact alert day for Thursday, when we're most likely to see rain and why the thunderstorm chances are higher on Thursday.
A district in distress with transportation and leadership in limbo. Just hours ago, St. Louis parents and teachers demand answers from the school board. Our top story, praying for Officer Brown.
God, we pray for a miracle of healing.
Officer Brown, God, the way that only you can touch.
Tonight, hundreds gather in support, just hours after we got a new look at the attack that critically injured a Ferguson police officer. Tonight, Officer Travis Brown remains in a coma with a life-threatening brain injury. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. The officer was injured late Friday night on the 10th anniversary of Michael Brown's death when protests outside the Ferguson Police Department turned violent. Today, police released surveillance and body cam footage of the moment Elijah Gant ran into Officer Brown, causing him to fall backwards and hit his head on the pavement.
It wasn't two people colliding. I mean, if you look at the video, the officer is standing there waiting to try to catch this guy. It wasn't a collision. He's standing there. This guy tackled my guy like he was a football player. If you haven't condemned this act or condemned what happened to my officer, then you're part of the problem.
A mom's heart is broken over foolishness.
Today, more charges were filed against all 5 people arrested Friday night. Gant faces another assault charge for kicking another officer in the head. He's already been charged with assault, resisting arrest, and property damage. Emily Davis was charged with third-degree assault. Derek Robinson, Philip March, and Keith Rose were charged with property damage. Keith Rose was arrested Friday, just hours after he was confirmed to the St. Louis Civilian Oversight Board. Tonight, 3 St. Louis aldermen sent a letter to the chairman to call for his removal. Rose's attorney says his client is innocent.
Tonight, hundreds of people packed the parking lot at the Ferguson Police Department, as you saw earlier. Robert Townsend was there as the community stood united for an emotional vigil for Officer Brown.
It was a touching tribute for Ferguson police officer Travis Brown, the 36-year-old officer on the force for just 7 months, now fighting for his life.
Our officer is still in bad shape.
A teary-eyed Chief Troy Doyle among the hundreds packing the police department's parking lot to pray for the officer and their community.
This is no longer ground zero. This is the Brown of hope.
Investigators say Brown suffered a severe head injury after a protester attacked him during the 10th anniversary of Michael Brown's death Friday night.
He's that model officer. He's that officer that every community will want.
The beloved officer and father of 2 young daughters remains in a coma.
God, we pray for a miracle of healing, God. We pray for a great turning around.
He was riding in the car with me earlier that day, and we had some good conversations, so it's painful.
Just holding Officer Travis Brown's vest was definitely an emotional time for one of his fellow officers.
We want to make a difference in the community. That's my brother.
Ferguson officer Andre Spraggins saw his brother in blue fall to the ground.
I'm just really getting back to myself after 3 days. It was real hard, so to be able to honor him by carrying his vest for the memorial, it meant a lot to me.
And it is at this time that we all come together.
He says in love and peace.
Mixed races, old, young, I mean, this is what community looks like.
A community pulling for Officer Brown.
And we're standing behind him.
And we're fighting for you. I know you get through this.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
And the other 2 officers who were injured Friday night are back at work. A GoFundMe page has already raised $45,000 to help Officer Brown's family with mounting medical bills and other expenses. We have a link to donate in the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com.
Turning now to the weather impact forecast. It's dry in St. Louis tonight, but that could change by daybreak. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is tracking the threat of morning storm.
And most of that rain, Mike, is going to end up being off to the west of St. Louis. New flash flood watch, or just a flood watch, that goes into effect here at 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning into early tomorrow afternoon. It does include our western and southwestern counties. That includes Herman over towards Sullivan, down to Potosi into Iron and Reynolds County and down towards Rolla. We're still watching this whole area of thunderstorms. It keeps cycling around the big upper level heat dome that's down to our south. So this is the area where we expect to see those showers and thunderstorms develop through the overnight hours and heading into early tomorrow morning. Most of that's going to miss St. Louis. We won't see a whole lot of rain out of this particular scenario, but these lines of thunderstorms that develop back across mid-Missouri and then move southeast, they're likely going to put down some heavier rainfall, as much as 2, 3, maybe more inches of rain over mid-Missouri. That's why that flood watch is in effect. And then we jump into Thursday with our weather impact alert day early in the morning and then again late in the afternoon for the potential of some strong to severe thunderstorms on Thursday. Most of it missing St. Louis tomorrow. Thursday, don't think we'll be so lucky. Mike?
Scott, thanks. New tonight, we're learning more about the state of the St. Louis Public School District.
It is a district in distress, with the first day of school just 6 days away and growing questions about student transportation and school leadership. Laura Barcheski was at tonight's school board meeting, the first since the superintendent was placed on leave. Laura?
Mike and Kelly, tonight we didn't hear much about the superintendent situation, as they've said that's a personnel matter. However, we did hear from the board president about transportation issues as well as the budget.
St. Louis Public School Board President Tony Cousins started the meeting responding to criticism and firmly stating she will not be resigning despite several calls for her to step down.
And instead of working in silos, we have to come together and work together. We cannot continue to fight, attack, and use things for personal gain. That doesn't take this city or this district to any other different level but low.
The SLPS chief financial officer clarified budget numbers, saying going from a $17 million surplus to a $35 million deficit are projections and proposals, not solidified. And with the current state of the rainy day fund, they are not at all concerned about those numbers.
We're planned deficit spending this year and next year. We know we've given some big raises. If we're going to get back to balanced budgeting, that means some belt tightening.
How students will get to and from school has been another big issue. The transportation department says they want to reassure parents they are in a better place now than when the emergency plan was released. 6,400 students will use yellow buses, 6,200 students will use vans and sedans, and a little more than 1,400 students will use public transit.
Metro has been committed to provide some visibility by patrolling routes. They also will have security that will be monitoring routes during these service hours.
There was a lot to take in at this meeting, so we're going to have much more of that online so that all the families are prepared for the first day of school. However, there are a couple of things families can do right now. The school district wants people to know that they still need volunteers for their safety, security at bus stops, and also they want families to update their contact information, addresses and phone numbers, just in case there are any issues. Reporting live downtown, Laura Barcheski, 5 on your side.
A Metro East man is now charged with 2 counts of murder with the intent to kill in the deaths of a mother and her young daughter. Police say Matthew Thomas intentionally drove a car into a home in Belleville Sunday morning. The crash caused a fire. Siobhan Green and her 4-year-old daughter, Toriana Bohanna, died. A 10-year-old boy was rescued from the home. The family tells 5 on your side Thomas was their neighbor who continually harassed them. An execution date has been set for a Missouri man convicted of raping and murdering a 9-year-old girl. Christopher Collings is scheduled to die by lethal injection on December 3rd at the state prison in Bonne Terre. Collings was convicted in the 2007 death of Rowan Ford. The 4th grader's body was found in Fox Cave in southwest Missouri 6 days after she was reported missing. She had been strangled. Ford's stepfather, David Spears, pleaded guilty for his involvement and was sentenced to 11 years in prison.
We are now 84 days away from Election Day, and we now know Missouri voters will decide the future on 3 major issues on the November ballot. Today, Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft approved the ballot initiative petitions for restoring abortion rights, sports betting, and increasing the minimum wage and required paid sick leave. The abortion ballot initiative is sparking reactions from leaders across the state. Missouri gubernatorial candidates weighed in on the addition. Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe says he opposes the amendment. Crystal Quaid called out her opponent, saying he is, quote, extremist in the wake of Roe v. Wade being overturned. The issue is also supercharging the state's Senate race.
It ought to be decided by the voters. It should not be decided by a bunch of politicians in Washington saying, here's our national solution, we're going to jam down your throat.
Well, Josh Hawley already wants to override the will of Missouri voters because he has co-sponsored a national abortion ban in the U.S. Senate. Also, the guy is not for exceptions. He is on the congressional record specifically saying that he can't wait for the day when we ask ourselves, how could abortion have ever been allowed in our country?
Critics are raising concerns over if the bill weakens legal protection for mothers who experience medical malpractice.
Tonight, we're also taking a look at the measure to legalize sports betting in November. Proponents say it will give local school districts a big boost.
While opponents worry legalized gambling could lead to addiction. Brent Solomon is live downtown with a closer look at what voters will decide on.
Well, if I can't do it here, I'll just go across the river and do it. That's what sports bettors in Missouri are telling me tonight. And now even professional sporting teams want Missouri to get on board. After years of back and forth with lawmakers, now voters will decide. There's nothing like catching your favorite team in action.
Because I love my city, and the Cardinals are #1.
They're my team. What can I say? I follow them closely, and I hope they do well.
What if you could soon place a bet on whether your team will win a specific game? In Missouri, that's not legal, but it may be soon. Tuesday, election officials confirmed they verified enough signatures to have legalized sports betting placed on the November ballot. Organizers say 340,000 people signed the petition.
I'm with it because I'll be the one betting too.
I mean, they do it already in Illinois. Yeah. So does it kind of make you wonder, like,
why doesn't everybody? Yeah, pretty much. But I agree with it.
But not everyone does.
No, too much betting going on already. If you want to do it in Illinois or whatever, you can.
Critics have expressed concerns over the potential of gambling addiction. Under the proposal, Missouri would tax all bets at 10%. $5 million would be allocated to prevent gambling addiction. The rest of the money would go to schools. Cardinals President Bill DeWitt said Tuesday, quote, "On behalf of all 6 of Missouri's professional sports teams, I would like to thank everyone who signed a petition to get this on the ballot. A vote for Amendment 2 in November is the right thing to do for both Missouri public schools and our favorite sports teams."
When I started sports betting, made me watch the games a lot more. So.
I get it. And they got casinos all over the place. This is all the gambling you want.
All right, now 8 states border Missouri. All of them allow for sports betting except for Oklahoma. So if this gets passed here, you'll be able to potentially place a bet at a local casino or directly with the sporting team of your choice. Come November 5th, that decision is in your hands. Live downtown, Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
Conventional security.
We want to make sure that we have a safe and successful Democratic National Convention.
The lesson Chicago is learning from the tragedy in Butler, Pennsylvania. A path of destruction or a meteorological myth.
Tornado alley is not a well-defined term.
Tonight, local experts weigh in on the origins of Tornado Alley and whether twisters are taking a new turn.
A weather impact alert day for Thursday with the chance of some stronger storms. We are tracking the timing of several rounds of showers and thunderstorms. They'll impact our region before the weekend. We'll track in 7 minutes.
All political eyes are on Minnesota tonight, where there was another test of a member of the squad. Progressive Congresswoman Ilhan Omar faced a tough challenge in the Democratic primary, but the sharp critic of Israel handedly beat Minneapolis Councilman Don Samuels tonight. Just last week, fellow squad member Cori Bush of St. Louis lost her primary to Wesley Bell. That followed the defeat of New York Congressman Jamal Bowman.
We're less than a week away from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, and the city is putting the finishing touches on security. Crews installed more fencing around the United Center and McCormick Place. Already, multiple roads have been closed. Security officials say they're leaving nothing to chance after last month's attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump.
We talk about that all the time. If you're not learning and trying to be innovative and creative in law enforcement, you're not doing your job. So obviously all of us in law enforcement are trying to get better every day.
The convention will run from August 19th through the 22nd, and our political editor Mark Maxwell will report from the DNC in Chicago next week. You can look for his reports beginning Monday on air, online at KSDK.com, and of course streaming on the 5+ app.
The clock is ticking on repairs to Seckman High's football field. Workers are ripping out and replacing the turf damage from last month's heavy rains. The district hopes to finish repairs before Seckman's first home game against Fox High School on September 6th. Fox's football fields will also be replaced.
You know, when you hear Tornado Alley, you may think of places like Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. The experts will tell you, though, that Tornado Alley doesn't really exist.
Weather impact meteorologist Tracy Henson looks into a shift in storm path trends.
Well, one of the real big problems is that tornado alley is not a well-defined term. And it depends on who you look at. It's not a scientific term.
When it comes to tornadoes, Brentwood-born and raised Harold Brooks is the expert.
As I study the where and when of tornadoes and the conditions in which they form.
Harold is a senior researcher for the National Severe Storms Laboratory.
Almost all of our tornadoes in the plains are in late spring, early summer, and most in the late afternoon, early evening. When you go further east, particularly in the southeastern United States, you have basically the same number of tornadoes, and that's been true for years.
So if Tornado Alley isn't a scientific place, why can so many Americans point to it on a map?
Well, the thing about Oklahoma and Texas is it's pretty flat out there, and it's really easy to see those big tornadoes when they happen.
So easy, they've found themselves in the most popular of culture.
And then there's also The Wizard of Oz. As a book is such a big part of popular culture.
Setting the idea of Tornado Alley aside, Harold with the National Lab and Ben with our local weather service will tell you there is a slight increase in tornadoes in one part of the country.
What we're seeing now is there's more of a shift to kind of the mid-south and the southeast. So you're getting into places like Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, even parts of southern Missouri.
The change over the past 40 to 50 years is about 10%. So statistically, a once-in-a-decade tornadic event is now once every 9 years. Meteorologist Tracy Henson, 5 on your side.
Well, we have a chance of severe weather later this week, and Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with that weather impact forecast.
We do. At this point, it doesn't look like it's an overly favorable setup for, tornadic thunderstorms, but this time of year, you get a lot of those spin-ups on thunderstorm complexes, and we've seen that happening this evening. Some of those stronger storms coming out of Colorado now starting to spread right along the Nebraska and Kansas border. Everything that's been to the south and southwest of St. Louis is tending to fade. A reasonably comfortable evening through the overnight hours. Your future cast overnight, showers and thunderstorms will become increasingly more widespread in a very narrow band here, back through mid-Missouri and going into northwest Missouri. Some of this is going to be drifting into our western counties, and through tomorrow morning, probably through lunchtime, the focal point here for maybe 1 to 3 inches or more of rain will stretch from about Columbia down towards Steelville, Missouri. So just stay alert and stay tuned on this, because the potential for some heavy rain and flooding is certainly there. A new flood watch just posted for those areas farther west and southwest of St. Louis. Some of those areas did have about an inch of rain already today. 76 is where we are right now. We made it up to 81 this afternoon. Most of the metro dry. Again, the rain was to our south. We'll expect to see an uptick in that later on tonight to the south and southwest, all because this extreme heat down to our south and southwest is sending these little disturbances around that upper level ridge, each one of them flaring up with thunderstorms, and then they drive onto the southeast and right over us. So as we go through the day tomorrow, this is the area we'll watch here out to the west of us, sliding down to our southwest during the day. Much of that rain in fact, most of that rain is probably going to stay west of St. Louis. So we miss out on the opportunity in St. Louis, but very wet during the first part of the day, west and southwest of town. Going into tomorrow night, we should be fairly quiet, but overnight into early on Thursday, here's our weather impact alert. We expect to have some early morning showers and thunderstorms, and then again, another round heading into the evening hours, maybe some strong gusty winds with those. First batch coming in early on Thursday. Remains to be seen how widespread this will be, how heavy it will be, how strong the storms will be. That will set the stage for later in the day, though, and it could squash much of the activity through at least the mid to late afternoon hours. And then after 6 to 8 o'clock, watch more thunderstorms start to develop, including some coming in from the north and west. Those are the ones that we'll be tracking as we head into the overnight hours on Thursday and very early Friday morning. Those are the ones we're more concerned about for that weather impact alert and the potential for some severe weather. So here's the lowdown. Over the course of the next 7 days, you're going to heat it up as we head towards Thursday and Friday. Back into the lower 90s on Thursday. That should help fuel some of those thunderstorms in the evening and overnight hours. Friday into Saturday, lower chances for rain and temperatures start to back off a little bit.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Frank's here with sports.
Well, the Cardinals are now the definition of the word average, but we have a soccer team in town and a football team in the region that both have a chance for greatness.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
The only thing I can really say positive about the Cardinal game in Cincinnati was it didn't last long. A 1 hour and 59-minute contest. And guess what? After 120 games, the Cardinals are now a 500 team. 60 wins, 60 losses. Hunter Green is what an ace should look like. Throws 99 with movement. He went 7, struck out 8. Eric Fetty wasn't bad, but again, the Cardinal pitchers couldn't keep the Reds in the park. Ty France with a shot to right. 2-0 Reds. In the 6th, Jahmir Candelario took Fetty deep, and that made it 4-0. Nolan Arenado did homer in the 7th. Not enough. Cards lose again, 4-1.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
John Hackworth and City SC playing one of the best teams on the continent, Club America. It's the round of 16 in Carson, California, and the give and go results in the goal for Brian Rodriguez. Right now, City trails 1-0 in the first half. City is yet to win a game on the road all season long. So for being a president of a hockey team in August, Doug Armstrong was awfully busy today. He wheeled and dealed to get a 2nd-round pick and a 3rd-round pick so he could move those picks as compensation to possibly acquire some young NHL talent. The Blues signed restricted free agents Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway off the Edmonton Oilers roster. Both Broberg, a 23-year-old 6'4" defenseman, and the 22-year-old forward Holloway played in the Stanley Cup and are former first-round picks. Edmonton has 7 days to match the offer sheets that add up to about $7 million a year. Speaking of big money, 5 on Your Side signed Brady Cook to be our Sports Plus guest every Sunday during the season. I hope it came out of the Weather Impact Alert budget. Today, the Pride of Chaminade was named one of the 5 Mizzou captains. Let's hope Brady will be handing the ball off to the Pride of St. Mary's, Jamal Roberts. He got 1 carry last season, but the redshirt freshman had an incredible senior season in high school, 1,900 yards and 28 touchdowns. So how does he see his role now?
Just being real patient. I've just been embracing my role on the team. So just embracing my role, doing what I can do to help the team out in any type of way. So just being patient, waiting on my shot. Like Cody was here. Cody was a good teammate. He helped me out. Some things that I could eliminate, some things that I don't have to look at. And, I kind of picked it up fast, picking up blitz very fast last year. Just kind of helped out.
Mizzou is ranked 11th. The SLU soccer women are ranked 12th. Why not? 6 consecutive NCAA tourneys, including last year where they went to their first ever Sweet 16. They're the only team in the country with 3 returning All-Americans. They open Thursday versus Kansas City at home. And they have this fantastic coach named Katie Shields. She went to Harvard. And I asked a few of the players if a little bit of the Harvard in her comes out once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, she's a genius. Literally, we were playing Scrabble yesterday, and she had, the worst hand, and I was like, how is she coming up with these words still? I mean, she's awesome, and she has such a smart brain, and just everything she does with grace, and you can see just just her willingness to stop and think about what she's going to say.
She loves books, so drawing back onto the books, she always has a quote for us, that Harvard education has really helped her in her coaching career.
Oh yeah, yes. The big words come out every once in a while, and yeah, she can put you in your place sometimes, but no, it's awesome. Love her.
I think that's how the three of us feel when
Kelly's around.
starts talking.
Yeah.
We don't understand some of these
Harvard grad
words.
that I am, but it's interesting that she's not all that good in Scrabble.
That's right.
All right, thanks, Frank. A blue light special for Blues fans. The new plan allowing you to score more tickets.
A new option for Blues fans wanting to catch more games at Enterprise Center. The team now selling monthly ticket subscriptions called the Hat Trick Plan. For $79, subscribers will get a mezzanine level ticket to 3 predetermined home games per month. Plans can be paused and canceled at any time. By the way, single game tickets go on sale on August 22nd.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Start your day with Today in St. Louis at 4 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.
I think there's some